Good morning, everyone. This is Emily Kestrel, and this long, winding, single-lane country road leads to a very special place in the Illinois paranormal stories. So, the site of my exploration today is a very small cemetery in Effingham County, down towards southern Illinois. And this place is known as Ramsey Cemetery, also called Casbar Cemetery. It was founded in 1851 when the first person, Alexander Ramsey, was buried here. As you can see, it is well off the beaten path. It was quite a long trek to get here. I started to get that slight feeling of misgiving that I get when I have no idea where I'm going, just heading down these winding country roads. And this is it. Not only is this a very small cemetery, but it looks like so many of the graves are in a very sad state of disrepair. Looks like they've got one laying on top of this other one. Michael something died 1903. It's an older grave. Here's one that's completely lying on the ground. Looks like there are some nice older graves here. Can't even make out the words on this one. Not sure who that is either. I always hate to see the stones that have been completely lost to time or vandalism. Let's head back into this corner. You're just excited to be out of the car, aren't you? That was a long car ride. Here is the grave of Mary Margaret, wife of Nathan Beals. It looks like she passed June or January, not sure, 1880, age 35 years. Oh, I did read online when I was researching this place that this Corporal Henry Hooten of County K, the 98th Illinois Infantry Division, he did fight in the Civil War, obviously. And this was actually his family's land. So I'm not sure why it's called Ramsey Cemetery instead of Hooten Cemetery, as his family did own it at the time. Another old stone. This looks like the grave of George Bales and his wife Hattie Bales. Here's an older grave for Margaret, wife of J. Shelton, died November 18, 1878, age 78. So at least she lived a good long time. her grave has one of the common symbols from the older stones of the people holding hands, which I was also researching more about the graveyard symbols over the week, and that could indicate marriage, which I think in her case is probably what this means, because on the back side of the grave it looks like her husband, Jesse Shelton. Here's a stone that's just been put on top of this tree stump. I'm still looking for the grave of Mr. Ramsey Alexander, the first Ramsey to be buried here. There's other Ramseys that I've seen, but I've yet to find his. Oh, this is a child's grave. It's so faded you can barely see it, but I think there's a lamb on top. I can't really make out what it says on the bottom. Here is Stephen Bartimus's grave. And I'm not sure what the writing is on this. Well, now that I'm over in the older section of the stones, I'll tell a bit about the legends and lore associated with this place. Currently the stories say that the graveyard is haunted by a black-robed figure with glowing red eyes. There's also tales of a werewolf who allegedly lives in the caves that exist around in this area. The caves are on private property, so we won't be able to check those out. But that, I guess, is where the werewolf lives. It's also said that if you leave a coin on one of these graves and then walk away, if you leave it heads up and walk away and come back, it'll be tails. Now, as far as the history behind the werewolf story, I don't know if people are really sure how that started. Personally, I'm skeptical that there's an actual werewolf traveling around the area. But apparently in the past there might have been bandits or transients who lived in those caves, which could have easily created frightening stories, such as a werewolf. As far as the man with the glowing eyes, there's a couple of reasons that might be a story. One is very tragic. Apparently, up until the 1960s, there used to be a small mourning chapel on this location, and sometime in the 20th century, I forget exactly when that was supposed to happen, but apparently, unlike many of these stories and legends, this actually has been confirmed that it really happened. A young man took a shotgun and went into the chapel and took his own life, which is very sad and tragic. The other potential reason why some of these stories of a haunted cemetery might have started is apparently this is a popular place for the local youth to come and hang out and party. Dread, it's just other people, not ghosts, just other people. Come on. Come on. and there are rumors of occult activity occurring. And this is a very tiny little plot. It is surrounded by private farm fields. You can pretty much see the whole thing with one swoop of the GoPro here. It looks like over here is where the more recent graves are. Some of these stones are also very beautiful, but they lack the historical interest. Well, I never did find the grave of Mr. Alexander Ramsey from 1851. It's very possible that either his stone has been lost or it's one of the ones that was fallen over or too faded to read. What do you think of this cemetery? You think your mama's weird, don't you? You wonder why we go look at all these old stones. Freya! Freya, come on! You are such a little terror. Did you miss me? Final vibe check. Is this one haunted? I suppose there's a slight possibility, especially over back here in this corner. It does feel a bit spooky, but it's hard to say. Is it because I've built it up in my mind? Because I've heard so many stories? Or is something paranormal really going on? Well, I think that we are about ready to wrap it up here. So we will say goodbye to Ramsey Cemetery. I hope you have enjoyed joining me and Dread and the rest of the dog fam as we explore this out-of-the-way spot. And I hope to see you next time for my next adventure. Bye for now. Guys ready to go? You want to get out of here? Okay, let's go.